Monday Night Football Talk está al aire. Sean todos bienvenidos a una nueva edición de su programa favorito a través de Facebook Live y YouTube. Ricardo García Ochoa. Pónganse cómodos, acompáñenos a lo largo de los próximos 60 minutos porque tenemos un invitado estelar esta noche. Hemos hablado con coaches, hemos hablado con exjugadores, leyendas de la NFL, jugadores actuales, pero esta noche vamos a tener nuestra primera oportunidad de conversar uno a uno con el Jerry Maguire en la vida real. Un agente, representante de jugadores, está con nosotros y creador de su propia agencia. Chris Turnage nos acompaña esta noche, pero antes de darle una cordial bienvenida a él, permítame darle una cordial bienvenida a mi compañero. Ya saben, a lo largo de todos estos programas hemos estado juntos, Randy Fuller y un servidor, así que saludo con mucho gusto al hombre que ganó 2 títulos de conferencia dentro de la NFL, uno con Pittsburgh y el otro con Atlanta. Mr. Randy Fuller, brother, nice to see you again. Monday night, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing wonderful. I mean, who would have thought that we'll still be at home doing our show and things have not resumed? So I'm thankful, I'm blessed, I'm healthy. I hope you guys are as well. And I look forward to, having this special guest tonight. And I look forward to the show being a success.
Bueno, lo acaba de decir Randy, afortunadamente él está bien. Seguimos, obviamente, en esta situación afectados por la pandemia, quedándonos en casa, pero desea que todos ustedes estén bien de salud y sus familias también. Vamos a dar la cordial bienvenida a un hombre que ha hecho historia dentro del deporte como representante de jugadores. Él creó su propia organización, su propia agencia de representación de jugadores y está al frente de las carreras de varios de los más importantes que tiene la NFL. Para mencionarles algunos, el linebacker Dre Greenlaw de los 49ers de San Francisco, capitán de los Rams de Los Ángeles, Michael Brokers, un excelente ala defensiva de los Patriots de Nueva Inglaterra, campeón del Super Bowl, Deatrich Wise. ¿Qué puedo decir de Dylan Cole, una revelación y capitán de los Texans de Houston? Y muchos más. Demos una cordial bienvenida a nuestro buen amigo, Chris Turnage. Chris, thank you for taking the time, accepting the invitation to be on the show. It's a real pleasure to have you tonight. And for all the fans in Latin America, they are so glad to see you and hear from you what you're expecting for the 2020 NFL season. But first of all, how are you doing, Chris? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo te encuentras? ¿Y cómo se encuentra tu familia también durante esta pandemia, throughout this pandemic that is affecting the whole world?
You know, it's crazy time. We're learning new ways to do business by Zoom. So we're doing a lot of interviews by Zoom, talking to teams by Zoom, and so certainly it's a new way of life for all of us right now.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But I'm going to have to ask you, Chris. I mean, since you started in the sports business, how different is this from those years back then? I mean, you just said that things have changed, but as far as you is concerned, I mean, how many things that have changed for you and the players that you represent? ¿Qué ha cambiado tanto para ti y los jugadores que representas desde que empezaste tu carrera con este tema de la pandemia?
You know, they've changed a lot. First of all, teams will actually take my call now as opposed to the first year I was in the business. I would make the call and it just goes to voicemail. And I tell them, hey, I've got a good player, but they didn't want to hear it. So that helps once you get the experience. I've been certified since 2008. And so now, you can actually talk to GMs during this draft this past year. I think we had 150 calls in and out on Saturday. A lot of those with GMs, high-level decision makers. And so that really helps during the draft to be able to just get a feel, or before the draft to say, hey, is this guy worth signing? Is he worth, putting our name on to represent? So that helps a lot. That's a big change. The other thing that I would say is there's been more agents come in. They love the business from Jerry Maguire, as you mentioned earlier. They love the thought of it. So like right now, there's 817 licensed agents in the United States, but of that, only half have at least one client on the team. So it really starts whittling down, but I've seen that as well.
Dice Chris que definitivamente ha cambiado, que se ha hecho más fácil el que los equipos tomen sus llamadas desde cuando empezó, obviamente, dentro de este negocio. Desde 2008, él está como un agente certificado dentro de la NFL, pero que hay alrededor de 817 agentes deportivos en estos momentos y todos compitiendo, obviamente, para los equipos también interesados en atender las llamadas para poder firmar jugadores. Go ahead, Randy. Welcome, Chris, please.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I know this guy all too well. I'm excited to have him, and I hope our ratings don't go down having a guy like this on the show. But no, hey, Chris, you know, you've been in the business for a while. We're obviously letting people know who you are. There are a lot of great agents out there. We consider you one of them. Let the people know. So you went to college and then you woke up and decided to be an agent. Tell us how all of that happened.
So this was something I always wanted to do. I actually worked for a bank for a while. I was president of Regions Bank here in Arkansas and decided to go to law school at night while I was doing that. You don't have to be an attorney to be an agent, but you at least have to have a graduate degree in order to sit for the exam. So decided, went through law school, got my law degree, and then said, all right, let's go do it. Took the exam, passed, and then that was the easy part, because then it was like, okay, what do I do now? How do I get clients, and where do they come in? So and then you start developing the relationship and build it from there.
Le pregunta Randy a Chris que, bueno, ¿cómo empezó en este negocio? Y Chris dice, él empezó como un banquero después de haber estudiado su carrera como administrador de negocios en el estado de Arkansas. Después tomó su carrera como abogado en la Escuela de Derecho de la Universidad de Arkansas. Se metió al negocio, le interesó mucho desde hace muchos años convertirse en un representante de jugadores dentro del deporte, pero que esa fue la parte más fácil. Después de que obtuvo el título de Derecho, tenía que ir a buscar jugadores y, bueno, afortunadamente con el paso del tiempo ha demostrado de lo que se trata este negocio. Randy, Chris, we're getting feedback from Costa Rica. Daniel Morales is watching the show down there. Manuel Escudero in Panama. Luis Cavazos Guzman in Monterrey. Alejandro also in Costa Rica is watching the show. Alejandro Sanchez is watching the show from Monterrey, Mexico. But I want to ask you this, Chris. I mean, a lot of our fans and fans of sports have watched the movie Jerry Maguire. And now that you're in this business, I mean, how real is it? From what we saw on the movies, it's always said that fiction imitates reality. But in this case, I mean, why get into this business knowing that it's very hard to be a player in it? ¿Por qué entraste a este negocio sabiendo que es tan difícil competir dentro de él?
You know, Jerry Maguire is realistic somewhat, you know, as far as the stealing of clients. When you see Jerry Maguire in that scene there, you're not supposed to, but agents do it all the time, and they steal clients even though you're not supposed to talk to them. And so that is a challenging part. When I first got in, I was naive and thought, okay, I got a client, I can rest. And then no, people are trying to still recruit him. And so that part is very, very realistic. It's realistic on some players' expectations. Some have really, really high expectations, even though they're not the star player necessarily, like Rod Tidwell in the Jerry Maguire movie. And so it is a very, very challenging business, but something that I'd always wanted to do and set my sights on, and so decided to do it.
Dice Chris que, bueno, la película sí tiene aspectos muy reales, que lo de Jerry Maguire, eso de robarse clientes es real, así sí sucede. Él pensaba que el día que tuviera su primer cliente ya podía descansar, pero la realidad es que tiene que estar cuidando a sus clientes para que no sean robados por otros representantes de jugadores, otras agencias. Que esa parte es muy cierta y que sí, también existen jugadores como el caso de Rod Tidwell, que tienen sus expectativas muy altas, como Cuba Gooding Jr. en la película, y que él tiene que ponerlos en perspectiva de lo que es la realidad. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, Chris, we got a lot of people over in Latin America that believe they could play this game, and they're going to be looking for an agent. What are some of the characteristics that people, when you're out there recruiting, what are they looking for in a sports agent?
You talking about what are the players looking for when they hire?
Yeah, what are the players looking for?
You know, I mean, one thing is, hey, what's your experience? How many players have you worked with? What kind of contracts have you done? We've been fortunate enough to do 2 players where they were the highest paid at their position at the time we did their contract. Michael Brockers, he became the highest paid nose tackle in the league. And then Luke Rhodes, who's a long snapper for the Colts, the highest paid long snapper in NFL history. And it's kind of unique because the contract we did for him actually matches Jim Kelly's contract that he did for the Bills back in the 80s. This is a long snapper now. And so that's one thing, though, that the players look for. The other thing is, you know, hey, what's going to set you apart? A lot of agents just come in and they sound the same. So is it going to be that guy that's going to stay with you when you get cut in the foxhole? Those type of things.
Le pregunta Randy a Chris, ¿no? De que, bueno, en esta carrera, ¿qué es lo que más destaca también del trabajo que ha realizado y de los jugadores con los que ha trabajado? ¿Qué tan fácil es convencerlos para que vengan con él y sean representados, sean sus clientes? Y dice Chris muy atinadamente, ¿no? Afortunadamente a lo largo de los años ha tenido la oportunidad de trabajar con dos jugadores que se convirtieron en los mejores pagados en sus posiciones. Michael Brokers con los Rams en la posición de tackle defensivo y Luke Rhodes con los Colts de Indianapolis como centro largo, el mejor pagado de toda la NFL, el mejor en su posición. Pero que bueno, es algo que en realidad tiene que trabajar. Se han podido realizar varios contratos importantes y eso da, como que dice, un currículum a la carrera también de ellos. Invitamos a todos, si tienen alguna pregunta, lo pueden hacer a través del Facebook Live y mandarnos la pregunta. Aquí la leeré con mucho gusto para Chris. Okay, Chris, we're now in 2020, and of course, I mean, we didn't expect what's going on in the world. I've heard the NFLPA, the NFL Players Association, even today post out a message to ask the agents to talk to their clients and tell them about keeping themselves safe. Just after a few days ago, the head of the medical department for the NFLPA sent out a message just inviting players to not practice in conjunction, to not hold practice independently from their teams. Where do you stand as an agent, and what have you said to your clients?
You know, that's been a challenging aspect. A lot of clients are saying, hey, what's going on? When do we report? What's going to happen? And so we really had to talk through, hey, here's the scenario as we know it. As of right now, you're reporting on July 28th. They're talking about keeping social distancing. Each team in the league has to have 3 tiers of what they designate as employees. The ones that will have contact with the players, the ones that can't have any contact with the players, and then the ones that might have some. And so they have A, B, and C. So they've really put into place this protocol. So we've told all players that. They had to put in a plan to clean and sanitize their entire facility. And so each team had to hire a company to do that. But the hardest question is, hey, what if I don't feel comfortable playing? Do I have to show up and get paid and still get paid? That's the big question. And so as of right now, there hasn't been any resolution. But basically, if you don't show up, you're not getting paid. If you do show up, you do. So that's been the big thing that we've had to address with our players at this point.
Le pregunto a Chris que, bueno, durante este tema de la pandemia y con la expectativa de que dentro de un mes los jugadores puedan estar en el terreno de juego para sus entrenamientos, ¿qué le dice él a sus clientes? Porque ya la Asociación de Jugadores ha dicho, no pueden reunirse y trabajar en conjunto o mejor eviten hacerlo, y que ya hoy inclusive pusieron un mensaje solicitando a los representantes que hablaran con los jugadores para que también sean conscientes de los cuidados que tienen que mantener durante la pandemia. Y Chris lo que dice es que, bueno, la principal pregunta que se están haciendo muchos jugadores es, ¿qué pasa si no me presento? ¿Me van a pagar o no? Y hasta el momento la NFL no ha establecido ninguna política al respecto. Lo que sí les ha pedido es que por favor mantengan la distancia, cumplan con esos lineamientos. Y otro factor muy importante, hay 3 niveles dentro de la NFL para el trato con los jugadores. ¿Quiénes van a tener contacto? ¿Quiénes no? Y quiénes tendrán algún contacto con los jugadores para llegar a los campos de entrenamiento. Pero hasta el momento el principal cuestionamiento que tienen los jugadores es, ¿qué pasa? ¿Qué va a suceder si no me presento a jugar? Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, Chris, one of the things I want to know is, you know, I know the players, the teams, they have their union. The players have the union. So do the agents, do they have a person or a leader that they all discuss things with so that they're all on the same page just to make sure they're protecting their players? How does that work?
You know, that's a great question. We actually started forming this a couple years ago. And so I was one of the founders of the Agent Association, the PFAA, Professional Football Agents Association.
Okay.
And what we did is, because sometimes agents are treated as a stepchild, we're regulated through the PA, but sometimes the PA doesn't really care about us. The NFL sometimes doesn't care about us because we're negotiating with them. And so it's really a measure to say, hey, here's what we do. Here's the value that we provide. We just want to make sure that we're not lost in that shuffle and that we have somebody speaking for us. So we have formed that with probably there's about 40 members so far. And of the 40 members, we collectively represent about 85% of the league with that have joined. So with their firms, that I'm saying, not necessarily individual people, but and so we do have that to be able to talk through and make the organization better, make the industry better by requiring some continued education for agents, doing some of those type things.
Randy le pregunta a Chris que, bueno, si ellos tienen alguna representación, los jugadores la tienen, la liga obviamente tiene sus oficinas o la representación del comisionado, quien a su vez obviamente está enfrente de los dueños de los equipos, pero ¿qué pasa con los agentes? Los representantes por lo general son esos intermediarios que ninguna de las dos partes quiere. Y es lo que comenta Chris, ¿no? Que a lo largo de los años, él fue uno de los miembros fundadores de la Asociación de Agentes Representantes y Jugadores de Fútbol Americano Profesional, y que ellos han ido trabajando, que hasta el momento son un poco más de 40 que están involucrados en este organismo, representando a varios de los que trabajan a través de sus agencias, y que así han podido establecer algunos lineamientos también para que tanto la Asociación de Jugadores como la misma liga considere que tiene mucho más valor el trabajo que ellos realizan y sea más fácil el acercamiento. Chris, take me back when you founded United Athletes Sports. And you create your own sports agency. Who was the first and how was the first approachment you made to a player? Who was the first player you approached?
It was a little unique because we didn't actually form UA Sports, this company, until about 4 years ago. So I had already had some experience and had some of the players back in the original day when I had the first company. They didn't know who it was, and you approach them now, at least they've heard the name value. But no, it does have a factor on these guys. Hey, oh, that's so-and-so's agent, or they represent this person, and then to be able to come, with experience and say, hey, here's all the players we represent to a player. So it absolutely helps to have that name recognition with some of the players as you go in and they say, that's my agent or whatever. It helps a lot.
Dice Chris que bueno, cuando yo le preguntaba la creación de United Athletes Sport, que es la agencia que él creó, con quién se acercó primero, dice, bueno, en un principio no existía esta organización, tenía otra empresa, pero conforme pasaron los años, a través de los agentes, de los jugadores, perdón, que he ido representando, es como ha sido la tarjeta de presentación para atraer más clientes. Prácticamente su mejor promoción, I can say this, Chris, your best promotion is having your own players talk to other players about you.
Absolutely. It's always good if somebody else says something good about you instead of coming from yourself. And so that's one of our main recruiting tools is once we have a player from that school, hey, we ask them to help us out. Hey, get us some more guys from there. And that absolutely gets the ball rolling.
Dice Chris que bueno, definitivamente que sí, la mejor promoción es que un jugador hable bien de él y atraiga más jugadores para que sean parte de la agencia. We're going to roll here, Randy. People are just sending questions. Aldo Morales, also from Monterrey. He says hello. There's a question here from Costa Rica, from Alejandro. Mm-hmm. What does a recruiter hate most, or in this case, an agent hate most about working with players who are rookies or young players?
I would answer that two ways. The first is I would say sometimes they're susceptible to money. Another agent just throws out something, doesn't mean they're a better agent, but because they offer them something, then all of a sudden the grass looks greener, even though that agent might not stay with them. That's going to be very frustrating after you put in time and effort. The other thing I would say is sometimes we see immaturity issues because these players have had everything taken care of at their schools for them. And so sometimes I didn't know I had to show up to this meeting, or I didn't know I had to go get on a plane. We had one scenario where the player didn't realize there were two airports in Dallas, and we had booked a flight to a team, and he's sitting at one airport and they're flying out of the other airport because he had no clue that there were two airports. And so sometimes having to teach these guys, hey, you got to look at this, you got to get there an hour early, and really, babysitting some of them in some cases.
Dice, de la pregunta que hace Alejandro de Yarda 506 en Costa Rica, ¿cuál es la parte que más detesta de trabajar con jugadores jóvenes? Dice Chris que, bueno, muchas veces obviamente les atrae el dinero y que en otras están mal acostumbrados a que las universidades les proveen todo y que tienen que estar ellos en realidad como unas nanas, estando cuidando a los jugadores, y que en un caso hubo un jugador que en la ciudad de Dallas hay dos aeropuertos, estaba sentado esperando el vuelo en uno y el vuelo que tenía que tomar salía del otro aeropuerto y él ni sabía, y que hay veces que hay que estar lamentablemente trabajando con esa parte y que muchas veces se les hace fáciles a algunos representantes motivar a los jugadores con dinero, y eso ya para empezar es lo que los atrae. It's all yours, Randy.
Yeah, I was one of those players that like to be babysitted a little bit. All right, so it kind of comes with the territory.
I was about to say, Ricardo, that was not just me, the player.
Oh my goodness. Hey, listen, it comes with the territory. I mean, you got to think about it. There are kids that went from Friday night football, and then they went to college, and 3 years flies by, then all of a sudden they're presented with more money than they can ever imagine. How much of a role do you play through that whole process for them as they do develop into men? So how much of a role do you play as an agent?
You know, we have a big focus on off the field as well. It's not just football with us. And so we try to help with that. And obviously kids come from different backgrounds. Some come with no family really that raised, some come with, you know, one parent, some come with their sister that raised them, and some have a great family. And so some of it depends on that to where they need a little bit more, but we try to absolutely help with that. We tell them, hey, we're not here to just to be your friend. We're going to tell you sometimes the hard things that you need to hear. And if that's something you don't like, I'm sorry, but we're going to try to help you out with that. We had one example. Player was late to everything. He was late to his own pro day. If that tells you anything, he showed up late to his own pro day where they work out.
Wow.
And so we had teams were kind of dogging him a little bit about that. And so during the draft, the GM of the Jets called and he said, hey, I'm about to take your guy. If you promise me he's going to be on time, he's not going to be a problem. So we sat him down and talked to him and explained, hey, this is why it's important. The Jets drafted him in the 5th round. GM called me after camp and said, hey, man, he's been a model citizen so far. He's been great. So to answer your question, I mean, sometimes some guys need a little bit more and some they're okay. But we try to absolutely be available for that.
Le pregunta Randy a Chris que bueno, qué tanta labor también tienen que hacer fuera del campo con los jugadores. Y Chris atinadamente dice, es que muchos vienen de diferentes conformaciones familiares o núcleos familiares. Algunos fueron creados por su mamá, otros por una tía o por la abuela, o tienen una muy buena familia, y que tienen que ayudarlos también a decirles las cosas como son, aunque en algunos casos no les guste. Y cita un caso de un jugador que inclusive no llegó a tiempo a su día de prueba profesional y que muchos equipos se distanciaron de él por eso, por el incumplimiento, esa falta de disciplina, y que recibió una llamada del gerente general de los Jets de Nueva York que le dijo, te prometo que selecciona a tu jugador si tú me prometes a mí que vas a lograr que se discipline en cuestión del tiempo. Y bueno, afortunadamente con el paso de los años, después de ser seleccionado en una 5ª ronda, es un modelo, un ejemplo de jugador dentro de la NFL. Chris, as far as money is concerned, we've seen the sports business do this. It's like the COVID pandemic curve, you know. It just keeps rising. The salaries, the value of the franchises, what else? The income that players receive from sponsors, all that has grown and it keeps going up. In this case, how do you see the business playing out after this thing is over? Unfortunately, it'll be over sooner than later. El negocio deportivo ha ido creciendo económicamente, pero ¿cómo ves tú que las cosas van a estar después de que libremos este episodio tan difícil de la pandemia?
You know, the salary cap has increased over the last 5 years at an astounding rate. There's talk that this might be next year, the first time it actually goes down because of the situation. They're trying to figure out if they can levelize that over a couple of years so that they don't take one huge cap hit. But what's interesting there is the TV networks are still lining up to do deals. There's a new deal that's set to come, and that's going to eclipse even more than the last TV deal. And you've got streaming options now, as your viewers here are seeing on Facebook Live. And so with those options, I mean, I think you're still going to see the business of football rise because of some of those things, but you might see one little hiccup with this next year, especially in regards to the salary cap with the players, how they get paid. But other than that, I think you're still going to see it go up and up.
Dice Chris que yo le pregunto, bueno, ¿qué es lo que va a pasar con el mundo deportivo, principalmente la NFL en cuestión económica después de la pandemia? Y dice que, bueno, en los últimos 5 años ha habido un aumento, pero definitivamente después de esto lo que se espera es que el tope salarial en 2021 descienda, pero que no va a afectar el negocio porque vienen los contratos televisivos que van a invertirle sumas fuertes de dinero a los derechos para transmisiones a partir del año 2022, y eso le va a dar la oportunidad al negocio de estabilizarse y regresar al nivel que nos tiene acostumbrados, razón por la cual no debe ser en realidad un problema muy fuerte el tema financiero o económico para las ligas. That was just a great answer, Chris. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, I want to get into some fun things here. I want to know, you know, what with the time zone, you know, East Coast, West Coast, what's been I would say the earliest or the latest that you have received a phone call from one of the teams? And then secondly, have you
One of the
received a
teams or one
call
of the players?
Yeah, no, or the players. And secondly, have you ever received a phone call from one of the executives from one of the teams, and you actually say, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to so and so."
As far as the phone calls, I mean, we get phone calls pretty late, especially with players, crazy hours. As far as from a team, I'd say probably midnight. I've gotten a call from a team before about midnight. That again, the players are more crazy. And I think I paused here. Can you guys still hear me? You guys hear me? Okay. Okay. Perfect. Sorry about that. I think my internet is storming here. I apologize. At first I really experienced that more so in my early career as an agent, and being from Arkansas, Jerry Jones is big here. He played at Arkansas, and so I think my 4th year as an agent, the Cowboys wanted one of my players as a free agent, and they said, "Hang on, somebody wants to talk to you." And they put on the phone with Jerry. He's like, "Well, I just really want your guy. Send him on down to be a Dallas Cowboy." And I was like, "What?" And so that was a pretty cool moment.
Le pregunta Randy a Chris que bueno, ¿qué hay con las llamadas tardes que ha recibido? ¿Cuál momento recuerda él a lo largo de la carrera? Dice que bueno, que de jugadores a cualquier hora, de algunas de las franquicias, inclusive a medianoche, pero que un episodio que él recuerda, él es de Arkansas, él está en Hot Springs, Arkansas en estos momentos. Jerry Jones jugó en la Universidad de Arkansas con Jimmy Johnson, que ganó 2 Super Bowls como head coach con los Cowboys de Dallas, eran compañeros de equipo, y que en una ocasión, bueno, creciendo como fan de los Razorbacks de la Universidad de Arkansas, recuerda la llamada de Jerry Jones que le dijo con ese típico acento que ustedes conocen sureño de Jerry Jones, le dijo, a ver, mándame tu jugador para que lo veamos acá haciendo sus pruebas y lo queremos dentro del equipo. I want to stay in this subject. Randy just asked you about the relationship with the players and the general managers and what goes on. You grew up as a football fan, Chris? If so, who did you admire in back then? I mean, we're about the same age. Randy is about 10 years older than you.
Exactly.
Bueno, Randy nos lleva como unos 10 años, pero Chris, tú creciste como un fan de fútbol americano. ¿A quién admirabas en ese entonces y qué tan historiador eres del deporte? How much of a historian are you about the sport? About sports and the sport business, how things were done in the past and now the way they are done now.
Yeah, I grew up absolutely a sports fan, and I played basketball and baseball and football in high school, and so love the history of both sports and the business. I think from a business standpoint, regardless of what business you're in, I think it's wise to go model yourself after somebody that's been successful, figure out what you can change from that. So learn from other people's successes and failures. So absolutely, I try to integrate myself with the history of not only the game itself, but the business aspect of it and learn from it. And so really enjoyed, times going to watch games as a kid or learning about people that I haven't seen before. I certainly absolutely enjoy that.
Dice Chris que bueno, sí, él creció como un deportista a nivel preparatoria, jugó béisbol, fútbol americano, baloncesto. Definitivamente es un fan del deporte y que obviamente se interesa por aprender la historia también, tanto del deporte como del negocio, para poder rescatar la información que le sea útil para lo que él hace hoy en día. Así que definitivamente también se considera un historiador del deporte. Gentlemen, let's take a break. It's halftime, so we're going to go to a halftime show. Ya estamos llegando a la mitad del programa, pero quiero enviar un fuerte abrazo también a todos los amigos de Football Real Nation que están esta noche acompañándonos como de costumbre viendo el programa, a los amigos de Americano, a lo mexicano también en la República Mexicana. No quiero dejar de mencionar a todos los hermanos de Costa Rica, Legión Fútbol Costa Rica, a los amigos de Yarda 506 que también están en sintonía hoy del programa, todos disfrutando de esta edición de Monday Night Football Talk. Steelers Family México también en sintonía, los fans de los Patriots también en Costa Rica, los fans de los Giants de Nueva York en todo México y mis buenos amigos de Empire 49ers también en la capital de la República Mexicana. Nuestro productor nos lleva a una pausa y regresamos. Estamos conversando con Chris Turnage, agente de jugadores de la NFL. Varios de los más destacados de la liga son sus clientes y cuando volvamos hablaremos en español con Chris también para que ustedes se den cuenta que domina más del idioma inglés y del tema del negocio deportivo. Vamos a una pausa de nuestro patrocinador y ya regresamos. Estamos de regreso en Monday Night Football Talk. Ustedes siguen con nosotros. Gracias a todos los que nos acompañan esta noche. Randy Fuller y Chris Turnage, la cabeza de United Athletes Sports, nos acompaña esta noche. Representante de jugadores reconocidos como Michael Brokers, por mencionar AJ Cole, también el despejador de los Raiders de Las Vegas. Y mi buen amigo Ty Long, el pateador de los Chargers de Los Ángeles. Son algunos de los clientes que tiene Chris Turnage dentro de su agencia. Randy, go ahead. You take first down here after the halftime.
Yeah, absolutely. Since we're going to kick off the second half, we're going to talk about your kicker, Chris. I saw a great article on him earlier. I definitely want you to tell the people about your kicker with the Chargers, Mr. Long, and just tell about his story and what he accomplished last year.
Yeah, you know, Ty's got a great story. He came into the league as a kicker from Alabama, Birmingham, and he went to the Washington Redskins. He actually beat out Kai Forbath, but Gruden said, hey, I got to go with the veteran. I'm about to get fired. I can't trust a rookie kicker. So they cut him. Then he went to the Steelers for a little bit, didn't get to play in a game. They cut him right before the draft. And so Ty and I sat down and I said, look, I absolutely believe you're an NFL player. We just have to show the NFL that you're an NFL player. So he decided to go to the CFL for 2 years. And what's really unique is he did all three special teams up there. He punted, kicked, and kicked off for them. He was a two-time All-Star CFL player, All-Star CFL Special Team Player of the Year, and he led in both field goals and in punts one year, which is pretty unique. So after that, we had 18 workouts set up for him with 18 different NFL teams. And after about the 6-1, the Chargers said, "Hey, what is it going to take to get him to stop doing workouts? We want to go ahead and sign him right now." And they wanted him as a punter. The Vikings wanted him as a kicker, and we decided to go as a punter. And what was really unique then for Ty is their kicker, Michael Badgley, was hurt last year at the beginning of the season. So he ended up doing all three things for the Chargers. He punted, kicked, and kicked off. First time it's happened since 1981. And then he broke his plant foot and the foot that he plants with, and he broke it, but he still ended up playing all season with that. And so it was really, really unique situation, and they're happy to have Ty. But he was number 3 in the AFC in punting this year, and so as considered a rookie, even though he's played professionally. And so we're looking for some big things, and I think there'll be an opportunity to extend him there with the Chargers after this year.
Randy le pregunta a Chris acerca de Ty Long, el pateador, despejador, pateador de goles de campo y de kickoff de los Chargers de Los Ángeles. He even hit all of his field goals in one game last season, Chris. I mean, he had a fantastic game last year.
Yeah, he was a Special Teams Player of the Week by the
That's
NFL.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactamente. Entonces, le pregunta a Randy a Chris sobre Ty Long y dice Chris, bueno, viene de UAB, no encontró oportunidad de ser seleccionado en la NFL, compitió en Washington, pero Jay Gruden, que iba a ser despedido, dijo, mejor le doy a Kai Forbath del trabajo, es un pateador veterano, no voy a apostar en un pateador novato. Probó con Pittsburgh, lamentablemente no se quedó allá, fue 2 años a jugar con la liga canadiense, fue un extraordinario pateador, pateador de goles de campo, despejador y de kickoffs también, convirtiéndose en el mejor de la liga estrella en 2 temporadas. Llega, lo prueban en Estados Unidos, le arman acá a Chris 8 entrenamientos y los Chargers finalmente apuestan por él, terminan firmándolo y llega a los Chargers y se convierte, de hecho, en una de las semanas de la campaña 2019 fue el jugador de la semana, conectando goles de campo, pateando despeje y pateando kickoffs, algo que no se veía en la NFL desde 1981, y de que a pesar de que sufrió una fractura del pie con el que se planta para la patada, terminó la temporada como un excelente despejador, tercero mejor en la conferencia americana. Of all your clients, Chris, and I'm going to pick your brain now and get some information out of your business. who's the toughest player that you have in your roster? I mean, just trying to handle them. Who is? Is it Randy Fuller?
Oh yeah, well, that goes without saying. That I can tell you that one's up top, and then it goes way down after that. I'll tell you, Dre Greenlaw is an absolute joy. He's a great person. He's got a unique story, kind of like a Blind Side. If you've seen the movie,
Yeah.
he ended up getting adopted by a coach there, and his mom was on drugs, and he got taken away by the state a lot and got adopted. And he's a great guy, and I love hanging out with him. But he's the worst communicator you've seen. You can text him, and he'll respond. And then you send a follow-up text, and he won't respond. And I'm like, I know you've got the phone in your hand. You got to hit send. The opposite of Herm Edwards. Herm Edwards says, don't hit send. I tell Dre, hit send. And so even at the combine, the Philadelphia Eagles came up to him. They said, man, we've tried to call you 4 times to set up an interview. He's like, oh yeah, I don't really check my phone a lot. And so I had a deal for him last year with a marketing company, and I couldn't get Dre on the phone to see if he wanted to take it or not. So that's the frustration. Again, he's a great guy, and I love him to death, but he's not a good communicator.
Dice Chris, le pregunto cuál es el jugador más difícil de los que tienen su roster. Dice que Dre Greenlaw, el estelar joven linebacker de los campeones de la Conferencia Nacional, los 49ers de San Francisco, así que por lo general ni siquiera revisa su teléfono, no contesta los mensajes, le escribe, no responde, que cuando los Eagles de Filadelfia querían comunicarse con él en el Combine o después del Combine de la NFL, les dijo a ellos, bueno, yo ni reviso siquiera mi celular, así que es un tremendo chico, una historia fantástica parecida a la de la película The Blind Side, que ustedes recuerdan también con la actuación extraordinaria de Sandra Bullock, pero que fue adoptado por una familia, por un entrenador. Su madre tuvo problemas de drogas, tuvieron que separarlo a él, obviamente, de esa situación. Es un jugador formidable, un chico extraordinario, pero no es un buen comunicador como Randy Fuller. Entonces, ese es el problema con Dre Greenlaw. Randy.
Man, listen, since we're going to laugh a little bit, since you guys like laughing, let's just find out what's the funniest thing that has happened with Chris during this experience as an agent. What's the funniest story you have for us, Chris?
Well, I got a lot of them. There's some crazy ones. I'm going to give you 2, and Randy, you know one, but I'm going to give you one first. Is we had a player that was going to Canada for the first time to the CFL, and of course there's a difference in Celsius versus Fahrenheit, right? And so he didn't know there was a difference in temperature scale. So he looked on where he was going, and it said 20 degrees. So he gets off the plane, and he's got a big down jacket on and some earmuffs, and it was really like 75. And everybody's like, this guy must be American because he's coming down. And the guy said, it said 20 degrees. Is my phone wrong? They're like, oh man, that's the difference in Celsius and Fahrenheit. And so that was pretty funny because they took pictures of him and had him out there, and everybody laughed. And then the other one, Randy knows this story very well, Ricardo. We've laughed about this. I'm not going to say the player's name, but there was a defensive tackle, and he was really good. He was really talented, and we worked to get him an opportunity. And so finally, Pittsburgh Steelers call. They say, hey, we're going to bring him in for a workout. If he looks good, we're going to sign him. So we thought, hey, this is a done deal. So he gets on the plane, and we're waiting, and Randy and I are excited. All of a sudden, he calls about 15 minutes after he was supposed to leave. And I'm like, oh man, this guy I bet missed his plane. I don't know what's going on. And I answer the phone. I'm like, hey, did you miss your plane? He's like, well, I was on there, but I had to get off. And I said, why'd you have to get off? And he said, man, I ate something bad for lunch, and I ended up having to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't make it. So I ended up having to go to the bathroom myself. And he said, so that I had to get off. And this is a 340-pound guy now. It's not a small guy. And so he was like, I was trying to make the decision whether I should stay on or whether I should try to go in the airport and buy something to get back on with, some other clothes. And so he's like, I got off to try to go buy something, and by the time I got back, the plane had left. So then the Steelers call, and they're like, hey, we're good. We don't need him now anymore.
Damn.
Le pregunta Randy a Chris sobre historias chistosas que ha tenido a lo largo de su carrera. Bueno, una de ellas, un jugador que firmó, jugador de Estados Unidos con un equipo de la Liga Canadiense, pero que no tenía obviamente conocimiento de la diferencia entre grados Celsius y grados Fahrenheit, que llegó a Canadá cuando vio la temperatura de su celular, pensando que, bueno, marcaba el termómetro 20 grados, él pensaba que eran 20 grados Fahrenheit y llevaba todo el abrigo y cubriéndose las orejas, y cuando llega ya no son 20 grados centígrados, y todo el mundo se dio cuenta y se reían porque obviamente ya sabían que era estadounidense. Y el otro, el caso de un jugador 160 kilogramos. Se sube un avión, tenía que tomar un vuelo para llegar a Pittsburgh. Lamentablemente algo que comió le cayó mal el estómago, tenía la urgencia de ir al baño, no llegó al baño a tiempo, tuvo que hacerse algo de comprarse algo de ropa para poderse cambiar y perdió el vuelo. Pero son de esas situaciones bastante jocosas de las que ha tenido a lo largo de su carrera Chris que manejar con algunos jugadores. Chris, let's go back to the sports business and the way you handle things with players and the leagues and the teams. Usually when we see the NFL draft, and the fans just see names come up and being called by the NFL commissioner or by the league and players going to a team. But what goes on behind the scenes? Cuando vemos el draft de la NFL solamente vemos el nombre de un jugador, la universidad, la posición y siendo seleccionado por un equipo. Pero ¿qué sucede tras bambalinas con ese jugador? And the way you as an agent have to get in contact with the team to negotiate his contract. ¿Cómo tienen que ponerse en contacto tú con el equipo para llegar a un contrato?
You know, there is a lot of things that happen before this name just gets called. Obviously, they go through the whole All-Star game, combine, and whatnot. But really, the week of the draft, we're on the phone with teams kind of constantly, and they're asking, "Hey, who else likes this guy? How much do they like him? Do we have to get in front of him, you think, to take him if we really want him?" And teams are trying to do their due diligence, and we're trying to find that due diligence as well. So there are a ton of calls. Of course, there's some bluffing going on as well. We have to posture a little bit with some of our guys, but there is a lot going on. Also, keeping these guys calm and their families calm. But you know, then the day of the draft, it's calling and saying, "Hey, if you don't take him, this next team is going to take him. This is your only opportunity." And you've got to have that relationship where they trust you, or else obviously that move doesn't work. So there is a ton of background. Sometimes teams will call, "Hey, we have a question about this injury. Can you get us more information about his knee that he hurt his junior year at college?" And so we'll work through that, or we'll ask them who else do they like, and then we put together a comparison as to why our guy's better than that other player that they're looking at, and give that some information as well to publicize. You know, as far as the contracts, the drafted players generally will take 2 to 3, 4 weeks to negotiate a drafted player. The undrafted guys happen that night in a span of about 10 minutes. It is very, very quick. The guys, the teams are on the phone, like, "We got to know right now, take it or leave it." And so it really is an advantage if you can do your homework on the front end with that player and walk through possible scenarios instead of getting bombarded right after the draft and you don't have a clue what's going on, because stuff moves so quick. They're literally, they'll tell you, "Hey, I got to know on this phone call or else I'm going to the next guy." And so you got to make a decision that quick. So it is very, very crazy. So the undrafted guys' contracts are done that night. And the drafted rookies will take usually 3 to 4 weeks.
Dice Chris que bueno, la tarea se hace antes del draft, se tardan semanas en prepararse con la información para presentársela a los equipos, que en algunos casos los gerentes generales quieren saber información acerca de alguna lesión que sufrió el jugador durante su carrera colegial y que piden ayuda al representante para que les proporcione esa información. Pero otra parte muy importante aquí que menciona Chris también es que en la noche del draft, obviamente al momento de las llamadas, pues hay mucha comunicación, pero también hay mucho bluff, hay mucha trampa de quién lo va a seleccionar, con quién se va a ir, y los agentes están en comunicación con los gerentes generales tratando de que su jugador obviamente sea seleccionado. Y hay veces que le dicen, si tú no lo tomas, lo va a tomar el equipo que sigue, nada más te advierto. En el caso de los jugadores que no son seleccionados, sus contratos llegan a ser inmediatamente 10, 15 minutos después de que termine el draft, firmados por los equipos interesados en adquirir sus servicios. En el caso de los jugadores que son seleccionados, puede pasar 2 o 3 semanas o hasta 4 para que lleguen a un acuerdo sobre su contrato. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, I want to speak from just being a fan that don't know anything about this business. I want to know if I didn't get drafted, but I got a free agent shot and I signed with the team, and I went out and had one of the most incredible first years as a player. Am I able to get a new contract if I go out and do that, or how does that work?
So great question. If you're undrafted, you're going to have a standard 3-year contract, and that's not negotiable. The number of years is not negotiable. So you can renegotiate a new contract with 1 year remaining on your deal. So if you're drafted, it's going to be a 4-year deal. So you can go after 3. If you're undrafted, you can go after 2. So as guys start creeping toward that 6th or 7th round, sometimes it's better to go undrafted, because then you can get that new contract much quicker instead of having to wait that extra year under the rookie scale that really drags you down.
Wow.
Esa es muy buena pregunta. Randy le pregunta, bueno, ¿qué pasa si yo soy alguien que no conoce del negocio y llega a ser seleccionado, o sea, llega a ser firmado por un equipo como un jugador no seleccionado en el draft? Y dice Chris que, bueno, para los jugadores que no son seleccionados en el draft, el contrato es de 3 años y eso no hay manera de negociarlo. Para un jugador seleccionado en el draft está basado en 4 años. Obviamente, si un jugador de primera ronda tiene esa opción para un quinto año. Pero algo que dice aquí Chris es que muchas veces es mejor para un jugador no ser seleccionado en una sexta o séptima ronda, sino ser firmado como novato agente libre, porque le da una mejor oportunidad de renegociar más adelante su contrato con el equipo con el que termina firmando. There's another thing, Chris, here that I wanna put on the table. I'm sure you know about international players or players that have come out of other countries, not the US. We've seen several names being thrown out there and having a chance to play in the NFL in the past few years. Mexico has produced a lot of players that went on to play in NFL Europe, and through the international pathway development program, have had a chance to make it to the practice squad. You as an agent, would you be interested in, searching out for players outside of the US? And if have you done that before?
Yeah, that's absolutely expanding. And to your point, they have the international pathways, which if your listeners don't know, that means some teams can add an extra international player onto their practice squad, and it doesn't count towards their numbers. So that's a very, very valuable asset to be able to do that for teams that are tight on numbers. So the NFL is constantly expanding. So absolutely, I mean, we love to look for other alternatives, other potentials. You see a lot of Australian, particularly kickers and punters come. They have a good program there. Bjorn Warner was a first-round pick out of Florida State, the first German-born player to be drafted, and that was a couple years ago that he got drafted to the Colts. I think you're right. You're starting to see some Mexican and some other South American players come to the NFL and starting to see have some success. So absolutely, I think that's something that is going to continue to open doors and possibilities, and we love looking for other opportunities as well for players.
Le pregunto a Chris acerca del programa internacional de desarrollo de jugadores y la llegada de varios de ellos a los equipos de práctica de equipos de la NFL, de organizaciones de la NFL. Dice que definitivamente sí, se ha visto que ha ido creciendo, que en Australia hay un gran desarrollo de despejadores y pateadores que ya están dentro de la liga y que para él sería interesante obviamente explorar también fuera del territorio estadounidense por jugadores que pudieran llegar algún día a ser parte de algún equipo de la liga, que para los equipos definitivamente es muy conveniente tener un jugador que no cuenta hacia el número de jugadores que tienen elegibles dentro del roster o del equipo de práctica para utilizarlo dentro del equipo de práctica a través del programa de desarrollo de jugadores. Come on, Randy, we're in the final stretch here of the Kentucky Derby.
Hey, Ricardo, let me tell you one other thing too. In that, with international players, the CFL just did a new rule where they have what's called the global player, and hopefully, your listeners know about that. But the global player means that they can be on the roster for the CFL team and not count as the member of that roster, not count as a number. And the CFL has a certain ratio they have to keep with Canadian players and other players, and so this person doesn't count at all. And so that's a new opportunity for other players outside the United States or Canada to be able to do that.
Comenta Chris de lo de la Liga Canadiense también, que ya ellos tienen un programa global en donde pueden insertar jugadores fuera del territorio canadiense, que no sean canadienses y que no les cuenta en cuanto al tema del roster, y que es un programa de mucho beneficio también para jugadores internacionales. Let me tell you this, Chris. I was part of making this deal last year as an advisor to the LFA, a professional league down here in Mexico, working out with the CFL commissioner and their lawyer, trying to, reach out to having both leagues exchange players, having Canadian players come down here and play in Canada, and having Mexican players also host. We even had a draft of Mexican players being selected down here for the CFL teams last year. So
that's great,
that's just a great approach. Hablando de lo que ocurrió también de la liga, la LFA con la liga canadiense el año pasado y la celebración de un draft. Un fuerte abrazo a Patriots fans Costa Rica. Go ahead, Randy. Sorry for taking the word out of your mouth.
No. I was actually going to the new CBA deal. I wanted to know what Chris thought about the new deal for the players and how that that expanded playoff system will work. I just want to know your thoughts on that.
The deal helps a large number of players earning the minimum in the NFL, which there's about 70%, 75% of the players in the league are earning minimum salaries. And so it gave them a very $100,000 increase. Our players were vocal against it with Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. It doesn't matter to them if they miss a game or two. They don't worry about $100,000. But that was a big concession. You've also got, the implement of the 17th game, which is going to come next season, not in 2020, but in 2021. And so that's going to increase the overall pot for the players. The big thing that they got out of that, the players did, I say, is, they moved up the portion of revenue that they're able to get. So they got a point and a half, essentially, more revenue towards the players out of overall all revenues. That point and a half could be as much as $4 billion over the course of this deal, and so to the players. And so that's very, very significant to be able to do that. One other thing, too, that I would say that a lot of people don't know is there's what's called the funding rule in the NFL. And what that means is this was established long ago, but owners use it against us in negotiation, where any guaranteed contract, they have to put that money on deposit with the league so that they prove that they have it. And so when we're trying to negotiate guarantees, they say, our owner doesn't want to put $10 million with the league. He doesn't want to take it out of the stock portfolio. Well, they increased that to $15 million, where you don't have to guarantee up to $15 million. Anything beyond that you do. So that's going to help us get the players more guaranteed money in terms of negotiation.
Aquí esta es una excelente pregunta que hace Randy. Le pregunta a Chris qué opina del nuevo acuerdo colectivo que existe entre los jugadores y la liga. Y algunos de los puntos que destaca aquí Chris, uno de ellos es obviamente la estabilidad económica de los jugadores, el poder tener un mayor porcentaje, que es aproximadamente 1.5% más de la tabla, acercándose al 50%, lo más que puedan de la repartición de las ganancias de la liga con los dueños de la NFL, que eso a lo largo del contrato representa aproximadamente $4,000 millones, pero que también otra parte importante aquí es el punto que establece la liga sobre el asegurar el fondo. Cuando un jugador recibe un dinero garantizado, los dueños están obligados, cuando la cifra es mayor a 15 millones, de depositar ese dinero en la liga para garantizarle al jugador y a la liga de que cuentan con los fondos suficientes para pagar la garantía de ese contrato. Así que es un buen respaldo para los jugadores. El aumento también de los partidos de postemporada es otra parte importante, porque representa para el jugador que juega un juego más, obviamente, un incentivo económico más si clasifican a la postemporada. Así que son puntos favorables para el sindicato de jugadores. I want to ask you about DeMaurice Smith. What do you think about him and the job he's done as the head of the NFLPA? ¿Qué nos puedes decir de DeMaurice Smith? ¿Cómo lo calificas a él y el trabajo que ha realizado como director ejecutivo de la Asociación de Jugadores, Chris?
Do you know if he's one of your listeners first, Ricardo, before I answer that?
So I can tell you he's a friend of mine.
He's not vacationing down in Latin America right now.
So I like D. Smith personally. There has been a little friction because he made a statement at the Sports Lawyers Convention that he didn't think players necessarily needed age. So we've tried to educate him on everything that we do. It's not just negotiating contracts. There's a lot of other things that go into that. He's got a hard job because when you think about the Players Association, it's made up of guys like on the scale of Aaron Rodgers, but then it's made up of a lot of guys that aren't in the same interest either and that are making $500,000. So he's got to represent a wide range of interests. He's very, very smart. He's very intelligent. He does a good job with that. I do think with that job, you're going to have people that are mad at you or complain no matter what you do, because it's tough, again, because you've got such a wide range of constituents, if you will. So I think he's done a good job of navigating and negotiating and getting better player benefits and player safety, making that a mandate. I do wish that he would be more receptive to agents and talking to that and understanding what we do, though, in the grand scheme of things, because we can help him do his job, because the players are generally closer to us than they are with the people in the NFLPA, so we can help with that transition.
Le pregunto de DeMaurice Smith, dice, bueno, es un gran tipo, definitivamente, que admiro lo que hace como la cabeza de la Asociación de Jugadores, que no tiene un trabajo nada fácil, tiene un amplio rango de quienes representa, jugadores que ganan mucho dinero como Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, pero hay otros que ganan el mínimo, que está por ahí de los $500,000 por temporada, pero que muchas veces no toma en consideración el valor de los representantes. Son los representantes los que tienen el mejor acercamiento con los jugadores, y eso es lo que tiene que considerar DeMaurice Smith y la misma Asociación de Jugadores cuando toma decisiones. Los agentes pueden ayudarlos en esa toma de decisiones para beneficio de la asociación y de los jugadores del sindicato. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah. So I know what I want to know, Chris, is those free agents. What is your and they recommend? I know on draft day they call and teams want to sign them. and you don't have a whole lot of time to say this is the best fit for you to go. So with that being the case, I know you have made some recommendations. What's been your biggest success story in that scenario?
For a free agent scenario, you're saying?
Yeah.
I'd say Taylor Gabriel, a receiver, is very interesting. He came out of Abilene Christian and was a tryout guy, didn't even have a contract initially. In fact, we kind of had to beg the GM of the Cleveland Browns at the time. We said, "Look, I promise you, you won't be disappointed in this kid. He ran a 4.27 at his pro day." And so Ray Farmer was the GM there, and Ray brought him in, and he ended up making it. And now he's gone on to high heights, and he's played for 7 years and was a mainstay of the Bears. And so that was a really good story and a really hard fought battle. To be able to go from a tryout guy, which is even more rare than just having a contract as a free agent, to a close to an all-pro player.
Le pregunta Randy a Chris acerca de los agentes libres y qué tan difícil es el episodio que estamos viviendo para ellos, pero él recuerda el caso de Taylor Gabriel, que llegó a la liga de tryouts de la Universidad de Abilene Christian, no tenía contrato, lo llegaron a llevar a Cleveland, lo vio Ray Farmer, lo firmó como gerente general y ha tenido una extraordinaria carrera después de ser un velocista en esta liga, y ustedes seguramente lo recuerdan muy bien como regresador de patadas, y bueno, ya tiene más de 7 años en la liga, y con los Bears de Chicago también ha tenido una gran temporada. We found out today, Chris, Cam Newton, well, actually I think it was yesterday, signed, yesterday afternoon, signed with the New England Patriots. Well, how hard is it going to be for other free agents now with the pandemic? And for you as an agent, trying to convince a team to sign a player who they can't see it playing on the field. And they don't have right now training camps, so they don't have players getting hurt or performing badly on the field to get a free agent. So how do you handle that? ¿Cómo manejas la agencia libre sabiendo de que hay jugadores que en estos momentos no pueden ponerse en un campo de entrenamiento y que al no haber campamentos de entrenamiento no hay lesiones o baja presentación o desarrollo de jugadores también?
Yeah, that can be a difficult situation because there's estimated to be about 100 less spots right now in the league than there were last year, because some teams aren't filling up with free agents because of that very point, Ricardo, that they're not working out. They don't need extra players. Players aren't getting hurt. So some teams haven't signed up to their full 90 at this point. It's very, very difficult. Guys can't get physicals in some situations to be able to go in and have the team sign them. And so teams are usually off limits if they can't get that physical. And then, the biggest thing is there's just nothing going on. Nobody's getting hurt watching a Zoom call going over a playbook necessarily. And so generally, those guys make less of an impact anyways, especially like undrafted rookies. It's harder for them. The teams are saying, hey, they're not really going to have a shot to make our team because we're not going to give them a ton of reps. So it's been very, very unique situation to have to deal with and counsel our players and work with that. We have some veteran free agents that are still out there that are waiting for physicals and waiting for certain things, but it's just it's a unique situation overall.
Chris dice que es una situación definitivamente única, muy diferente, porque en estos momentos, al no haber entrenamiento, no hay jugadores lesionados, no hay manera de hacerles evaluaciones físicas, y que lo único que están haciendo es tratando de pedir a los jugadores que se mantengan pacientes también durante este periodo, tratando de encontrar la posibilidad de que sean firmados con algún equipo, pero es una situación muy diferente. Go ahead, Randy, close this great show, because I'm enjoying this with Chris, and we can talk all night, even though it's raining real hard here in Mexico City, as well as in Arkansas. I'm sure it is.
Oh, it is. Yeah. But the rain, hey, the rain is not going to stop this Zoom call, baby.
That's right.
We're going to keep it rolling. Hey, Chris, I know that when you're a sports agent, you go from, I used to have a favorite team growing up, but once you got players all over the league, then your favorite team become whoever ends up in that final two, right? Whoever could be in that Super Bowl. So last year was a crazy run. I mean, a team like the Titans came out of nowhere and became a problem. But I just want to know your prediction. If there is a season based on last year, the way things finished up, based on the free agents that moved around, who are your top teams to make it to the dance?
I mean, obviously you got to think about the Chiefs. You got to start there. That's an easy one. They didn't lose hardly anything, and they're coming back fully loaded. I think the Chargers are going to make a little run. I think they're going to have addition by subtraction. Phillip Rivers made a lot of turnovers for them last year, and you remember the year before they were an AFC contender. So I think the Chargers are going to see. You're going to see them make a little run. I think you're going to see the Colts actually make another run as well. They've got Rivers, who I just talked about, but in a different scenario. NFC, I think you got to again look to San Francisco as a power there as a player. I think Seattle is going to absolutely give them a run for their money. But don't discount my Dallas Cowboys. I think they're making another run as well. So I think those are some teams you can see.
I mean, hold up. Before
we
you
were having
translate
so
that,
much fun until now.
I mean, I want to say, how could you ignore the Ravens and the Steelers? How could you even not even mention them? What is
Hey,
that?
Ricardo, he was over here, chatting. What about the Steelers? What about the Steelers? Trying to get me to put them in, but hey, we got to see if Roethlisberger's back, and they're not having to play with the third string.
Oh my God. All right, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Le pregunta Randy a Chris si tenemos temporada, ¿qué equipos espera él ver en la postemporada? En la americana, obviamente, da los Chiefs de Kansas City, no han perdido jugadores, están listos para el año que viene. Los Chargers, él espera que suban. Los Colts de Indianapolis, hey, the Colts, I also think they're going to win the AFC West, AFC South, I'm sorry, and they're going to be right there playing for the AFC Championship. Y en la nacional, dice obviamente los Seahawks de Seattle, dice los 49ers de San Francisco, que deben de repetir también como grandes contendientes en la conferencia nacional, incluye a los Cowboys de Dallas. I want to ask you this, Chris. What do you think about Dak Prescott and him getting that big contract that he wants during this pandemic? He signed that franchise tag, exclusive franchise tag. Do you think he'll get that $40 million a year contract he wants?
I don't think they'll quite hit the $40 million a year. I think they could get it done around 35, 32, somewhere in that range. If they want to, they've got until July 15th to be able to get a deal done. Otherwise, they'll play on the tag and then go on to next year. But a lot of the players don't like the tag. But I always tell guys, if you look at what Kirk Cousins did, he played under the tag in 2 years and ended up being the highest paid quarterback during those 2 years with Washington. Now he got a fully guaranteed contract with Minnesota. So you can absolutely play it to your advantage. I do think eventually the Cowboys will get there, and I think you'll probably see it in that $34 to $35 million range. But I do think they'll get there. If they don't get here now, I think they'll get there at the end of the season.
Le pregunto a Chris acerca de ese contrato de Dak Prescott, si va a llegar el contrato jugoso que el quarterback de los Cowboys quiere, que hasta el momento ha firmado el contrato o la etiqueta franquicia, exclusiva de franquicia del equipo de los Cowboys de Dallas. Dice que él espera que, bueno, que en estos momentos los jugadores, aunque a veces que ven la etiqueta franquicia como algo negativo, miren el caso de Kirk Cousins, jugó 2 años consecutivos con la etiqueta franquicia, fue el quarterback mejor pagado de la liga y después recibió ese contrato multianual con los Vikings de Minnesota, así que no siempre es algo negativo. Pudiera ser que los Cowboys lleguen a un acuerdo próximamente con Dak Prescott por 30, 35 millones de dólares, un contrato a largo plazo. Gentlemen, we reached the end of the road. It's been very fast. I think it's been the fastest 60 minutes in social media ever. Lo que hemos vivido hoy. En 60 minutos se ha esfumado el tiempo de esta edición de Monday Night Football Talk. Chris, I want to thank you on behalf of Randy Gonzalo and myself for the time you've given us tonight. We've learned a lot from what you said. Hemos aprendido muchísimo de lo que has dicho. Te queremos agradecer el que nos hayas acompañado y estoy seguro que esta información también ha sido muy valiosa para los fans del fútbol americano, en particular fans de la NFL. Any final word, Chris, you want to say to the fans in Latin America who are watching the show tonight?
Yeah, Ricardo, earlier you mentioned Jerry Maguire, and so I would leave you and your listeners with this. Muéstrame el dinero. Show me the money.
That's fantastic. Randy,
Sounds
close
like
the show,
agent.
please, my friend.
Hey, true agent. Chris, we appreciate you, brother. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks.
We
Bye-bye.
look forward to having you again. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Gracias a Chris Turnage, en nombre de Randy Fuller, la producción de Gonzalo Torres, y Ricardo García Ochoa. Pásela bien y que tengan todos una extraordinaria noche. Gracias por haber estado con nosotros en Monday Night Football Talk.